Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the homestead and welcome back to our garden. Tonight is an important night because it's planting night. We're going to talk about the 10 crops you need to get in the ground right now. We're going to give you a bonus crop too that you can actually plant anytime, but it's great for colder weather, but it needs to get started in this warmer weather so that when it starts to cool off, it'll already be established, those roots will be established. And that's the point of starting everything right now in your garden, is that it's still a little bit warm and those plants will get established before it gets really, really cold. But the cold is what helps these plants gain their sweetness and a lot of different features. And you'll know what I mean once I mention all these different crops. So as you can see, we've still got peppers and eggplants in these two beds right here. They're only taking up a little bit of space in the beds, so we can actually get in our carrots. These are two of my favorite varieties, Amarillo and Parisienne, which is a globe carrot, which is really cool. And I'm gonna put spinach in the other bed. So beets, carrots in this bed, spinach in the other one. But I'm gonna let these peppers run their course. So I'm gonna kind of interplant them, which is no big deal, but both of these need to get in the ground right now. For carrots, you can plant them between August 15th and October 15th actually, so there's quite a long period of time where you can plant those. And for beets, that's between September 1st and October 15th, so we're right in the wheelhouse with both of these. So I'm just going to use a hoe and I'm going to make a shallow trench here and for both the beets and the carrots. And we've amended this bed with some mushroom compost, some regular compost, some Epsom salts, because we tend to be magnesium deficient in this area, and also some potash. Now I did a video at the end of last summer that showed you how to plant carrots in the extreme heat. If you want, go check that out right up here. Basically, it's about keeping them extremely moist, and since they're sowed so close to the surface, putting a board over the top of them and watering underneath of it until they germinate is a really great trick to do that. Go watch the video, it shows you how to do it. But let's get these beets and carrots in this bed. So here's our third crop I mentioned, and that is spinach. We're going to be sowing it in this bed right here, and you can plant that in the south in zone 8B from between September 1 to October 15th. You can continuously sow these things, so you get one established, you can come back, do another row, get another one established, or you can skip every other plant, however you want to do it, but this is the time to get these in. So I mentioned this before, this is my garden plan. This is really important to have. This is my fall 2020 plan, and it's really important to understand where things are planted and know where things are planted so that you can do the proper crop rotation. And if you saw my companion planting video, you'll understand what fruits and vegetables in the garden rob what nutrients from other places, so you can plant, say, peas to establish or reestablish nitrogen in an area that had a heavy nitrogen feeder in it previously. So always do a plan. Just scratch it out on a piece of paper. I keep all these. I've had all these for years and years and years. I've got a stack of them to understand what's going on in the garden. Really important. Here we go, crop number 4, our garlic. This is awesome garlic that we grew this year. These huge bulbs. Oh man, it's going to be super fantastic to keep adding to our garlic stash year after year. But now is the time to get it in the ground because it takes 9 months for garlic to come to harvest. So we've done several garlic videos before. It's really, really easy to plant. We've got our root side and our top side where the leaves were. That is the same way you want to orient your individual cloves in the ground, is that part that is on the root. Stick that straight down into the soil, and this is the leaf side. That's going to come up toward the top or toward the sky, and we're just going to plant them about 8 inches apart from each other. Really, really easy. So next we have two groups of vegetables that we can actually plant right now, but those need to be started indoors. So we have ours started indoors already, and we are going to be transplanting them out here really soon. But sometimes I do direct seed a few of these items. We have got, these are really great, we've got some Chinese cabbage. We've got another kind of Chinese cabbage that they actually call Napa cabbage. So the Napa cabbage is actually a Chinese cabbage. You see it in the stores, it's a Chinese cabbage, even though it says Napa. We've got a beautiful cabbage here that's really, really tender and succulent. Aubervilliers cabbage from Baker Creek, fantastic. We've got Brussels sprouts. We've got broccoli. I like rapini, actually. So broccoli, rapini, Italian. Very nice, tender, very good. And actually, so this one's a little bit different for me. Okay, so this one is actually called a cabbage, Nero di Toscana. I think it's a kale. I'm not an expert. Baker Creek is. They package it as call it a cabbage, but it tastes more like a kale. It grows more like a kale. So make up your own mind. Mine have been in the ground and this since the spring, and they will overwinter. Kales and collard greens that you see behind me are biennial plants. So they will last for 2 seasons. So these beautiful collard greens right here, they love the heat, they love the cold. This is probably one of the most hardy, if not the most hardy vegetable in the garden. They will last, like this is a spring planting right here, they'll go through until the end of next summer, which is really, really cool. So you get a long harvest season from collards and kale. As you can see, I'm a little bit behind schedule. As always, a lot to do here on the homestead, but this is where those Asian greens are gonna go, the Chinese cabbage, the Napa cabbage, and also pak choi, which is an Asian green that I absolutely love. All of these will be planted very soon, between August 15th and September 15th in Zone 8B, which is where I'm at. So, as you can tell, I'm way behind schedule. Those little seedlings inside need to get their rear ends moving, grow bigger. I hope they grow fast. That's why I'm probably going to finish these beds up in the next day or two and direct seed a few of them. And that will give time for those seedlings inside to get a little bit bigger so that I can get them outside. So here is that Nero di Toscana we planted in the spring. It's actually really beautiful right now. It will overwinter, and it's right next to our Swiss chard, which is a perennial. So you can plant more Swiss chard right now if you choose, but we're not going to do it. We have enough here to last us, and these plants are getting a little old, so I might start to plant a few more in the spring. That's the beautiful thing about chard. You can really plant it at a lot of different times of the year. That's another incredibly hardy. If you only could plant 2 things in your garden that you needed year-round, collards and Swiss chard. We actually have a little surprise here. This is some buttercrunch lettuce that actually came up. This was a spring planting. It didn't come up all summer. I didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden, poof, the weather actually cooled off a tiny bit and it started to come up. So perfect time to plant more lettuce. So here we go. This is our number 11, our bonus crop. And a lot of people plant these in the spring, and they're perfect in the spring, and they work well in the spring. A lot of people don't plant them in the fall, or know that you can really plant them in the fall. But that is English peas. These are sugar anns and little marvels. I'm trying out the Southern Seed Exchange this year. So I usually do Baker Creek or Territorial. This is a new one for me. And the reason I'm doing that is because they tailor their seeds for southern zones like mine, which is really cool. But let's get these in the ground. This is the perfect time between August 15th and September 15th in Zone 8B for English peas. Usually called spring English peas, but we're gonna do fall English peas. Now remember, with peas, you can almost practically plant them on top of one another. They do not mind if they're only about 1 inch apart. I usually do mine about 2 inches and then interplant once those other ones come up, interplant in kind of a diagonal pattern, and they always do really well like that. So we hope all this information was very helpful for you and that you're already doing your planting in the South in Zone 8B. We will put a playlist up here of all of our gardening videos. Additionally, we will put all those planting days for everything that we mention in the video in the description below. Now I want you to click this video right here, which shows you how to harvest and save sunflower seeds. We love you. See you next time. Bye.